श्रीलंकन इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इसके तो आने के काफी चांस है इन द मेंस एंड प्रीलिम्स में भी. श्रीलंकन इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस. सी गाइस कीप राइटिंग. ठीक है, जो मुझे डिक्टेट करना होगा आई विल बी डिक्टेटिंग ओनली सर्टेन थिंग्स. बिफोर स्टार्टिंग द श्रीलंकन इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस, लेट मी गिव यू सम आइडिया, सम बेसिक्स, ताकि आपको ये क्राइसिस समझ में है. मैं आपको बोलता जाऊं कि रेमिटेंसेस डिक्लाइन हो रहे हैं एंड इट इज गोइंग टू अफेक्ट द इकोनॉमी, लेकिन आपको समझ में ही नहीं है. ठीक है, इसमें भी नहीं दिया हुआ है. सो आई विल टेल यू द बेसिक्स. जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड. मानो दिस इज, फादर नहीं लेते, हेड ऑफ द फैमिली लेते हैं, बिकॉज हेड ऑफ द फैमिली कुड बी एनी जेंडर. सो हेड ऑफ द फैमिली. नाउ हेड ऑफ द फैमिली विल बी अर्निंग सम इनकम. हर एक के घर में अपनी इनकम होती है. ठीक है. नाउ दिस हेड ऑफ द फैमिली अर्निंग इनकम, दैट इनकम विल बी डिवाइडेड इनटू टू कैटेगरीज. That income will be divided into two categories. One is you call it as current income, और एक करंट अकाउंट मानो अभी है ना, एक करंट अकाउंट, एक कैपिटल अकाउंट. ठीक है, I'll convert these into the other balance of payment terms. अब एक हेड ऑफ द फैमिली इनकम अर्न करता है. What income it will earn? Through its salaries. जो इसकी एक रेगुलर इनकम आ रही है, दैट इज वन काइंड ऑफ इनकम. ठीक है, थ्रू इट्स सैलरीज. सेकेंड, जो भी वो सर्विस प्रोवाइड करते हैं उसकी इसको सैलरी मिलती है. सेकेंड, सपोज इस हेड ऑफ द फैमिली हैज मेड सर्टेन इन्वेस्टमेंट, हैज मेड द इन्वेस्टमेंट. नाउ इफ यू हैव मेड द इन्वेस्टमेंट यू विल बी गेटिंग ईदर एन इंटरेस्ट. सपोज अगर मैंने लैंड ली हुई है एंड आई हैव गिवन टू यू ऑन लीज, you will be giving me rent. That is the income which I am getting on a monthly basis. Understand, on a monthly basis. So I would say it's a regular income. So that is another kind of income just which you call it as factor income. Factor income. This factor income which I'm getting due to various factors of production. Like I have a land, so वहां से मुझे rent मिल रहा है. I've given you some money for a loan. So what you will be giving me? You will be giving me interest. So that income falls here. Plus, is a head of family kya? There is a daughter who is in US. And she is sending some money or gifts to the family. That will be counted in the family income or not? So that is called remittances. Clear? तो इनकम समझ में आ गई. ऐसे ही एक्सपेंडिचर. This head of the family is making a monthly expenditure like on a rent basis, food expenses. आप लोग भी यहां पे रहते हो, so you guys make a regular expenditure on a monthly basis, food, books, rent. So that also falls under the current account. So current account is a regular account or a periodic or a regular which highlights the current income. Understand, that highlights the current income or expenditure. Clear? Current income or expenditure. But there is one more account, capital account. Like मेरे पास अब बहुत ही मैंने जमा करके बढ़िया सा लाखों रुपए जमा कर लिए. I have saved lakhs of rupees, or this head of the family saved lakhs of rupees. He or she asked, yeah, let's invest. Let's make an expenditure of 10 lakh in buying a land. Tell me, that expenditure is one time or recurring? Is that expenditure one time or recurring? One time. Generally it's like on off. One time. So that expenditure falls under the capital account. But the rent which you get from that land that rent is on a monthly basis, that is income, that income falls under the current account. So in the capital account, there will be obviously again income, expenditure. Expenditure I told you, whatever like on a one-off period, not recurring. One-off, it's not recurring. And what income comes under the capital account? कई बार आप लोगों को भी, sometimes what happens, you guys are giving rent or spending money on food, but कई बार आपको भी घूमने का मन करता होगा, मूवी RRR जाते होगे, but you guys do not have that money because the money which is coming from your family, that's a fixed one consisting of all these. So what do? You try to borrow certain money from your friend and says that okay, I'll give it to you some after 2 months, 3 months. So what you are doing, you are borrowing. You are borrowing. That borrowing comes under the capital account because you do not borrow on a regular basis. You do not borrow on a regular basis. You borrow one off. It's not a periodic, and that is for a longer period. So that borrowing, all that borrowing comes under the income side. ठीक है? So चाहे borrowing, understand, चाहे मैं borrowing IMF से लूं, whether I borrow from Japan, whether I borrow from Sri Lanka, whatever any country, if I am borrowing from outside, it will come under the capital account and comes under the income side. This is how the country's income is counted. This is how the country's BOP is calculated. एक country BOP जो है, it's nothing but just a statistical account that from where our country is getting an income. It can get income from two sides, one on the current side, one on the capital side, and at the same time where it is spending its money. It is spending its money on the current side, the regular expenditure, or it could be on the capital side. So first you should know about that. Now मैं इसको थोड़े से ना टर्म्स बदल देता हूं ताकि ये आपको और समझ में आए. So balance of payment, if I talk about, it is divided into two accounts. I hope आपको समझ आया कि balance of payment is a net of country's income. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. This is net of country's income. And why I always use word net? Because net is income minus expenditure. Clear? So balance of payment shows the net of country's income, which is divided into two categories, current account and capital account. If I talk about the current account, this current account is further divided into visible trade. Visible trade means trade in goods, invisible trade, which means trade in services. Clear? So trade, understand, if I am exporting something, if a country is exporting something, it is earning an income or not? मैं अगर एक्सपोर्ट करूंगा, आपको सामान आपको दूंगा, तो आप भी तो मुझे पैसा दोगे. So in the same way, if a country is exporting a particular good, it comes here. If a country is exporting service, then it comes here. Clear? Then the income next could be factor income. Factor income is like, suppose I have invested in Apple. Now they give me a dividend. I am a resident. They give me a dividend. So they are transferring the US income to me and I belong to my country, India. So that income will be counted in the current account. It's a factor income. I have taken a land in USA and given to any person in the USA on lease. So मैंने किसी को भी lease पे दे दी. That person is giving a rent to me and I belong to the country India. So that will be counted in India's income. That comes under the factor income. Next, fourth category is remittances. I told you the example of remittances, gifts, grants. This is important, remember. Gift, grants. Bhaiya, koi any PM of other country comes to India with a precious gift and gives it to our PM. That gift to our PM does not make his gift. That is the gift of our country. And that gift is counted under the current account in the BOP. Under the current account in the BOP. Clear? So this is how the current account is divided. हमारे पास income आएगी भी यहाँ से and we will also be giving. Like there are foreign people who are working in India. There are foreign people who are working in India. They will also be sending the money. They will also be sending the money to their country. That income will be deducted. That is minus. Clear? Coming to the capital account is divided into three categories. First, investment. So the terms which you see very popularly like FDI, FPI, that comes under the capital account. Second, very good, loans or debt. इसको loans डाल देते हैं, loans. Loans. Now in this, the loans can be, in our country, the loan can be taken from outside either by the government. Government ले सकता है, which you call it as sovereign loan, or it can be taken by, state. No, let's not discuss that. Government is one category where it comes with a center or state. There is another category called companies, private companies. They borrow through a term known as, what is that term called? External commercial borrowings. ठीक है, धीरे धीरे ये सब टर्म सीखना है आपको. And third category is banking deposits. Banking deposits. ठीक है, I'll not elaborate this term, इतना भी यूज में नहीं है. ठीक है, चलो, I hope इतनी बात आपको समझ में आ गई. This is the country's income coming from two account, current account, capital account, and going into another two account, that is current and capital expenditure, जो भी मैं expenditure करूँगा. Like suppose, let me see how much you understood. You tell me whether India is a net income earner in visible trade or a spender. गुड्स में, ट्रेड इन गुड्स में. कभी भी देखा है हमारा, इसको आप वर्ड यूज क्या करते हो? मर्चेंडाइज डेफिसिट, मर्चेंडाइज ट्रेड. न्यूज़पेपर इफ यू सी, you must have seen this word merchandise trade. Merchandise trade means trade in goods. We are always negative in the trade in goods. हमेशा. ठीक है, चेक कर लो एक बार मोबाइल में. This is always true. ठीक है, we are not, क्यों आप खुद लॉजिकली सोचो ना यार, are we a manufacturing nation? If we are not manufacturing nation, how can we manufacture that many goods as compared to ASEAN nations, China and the other countries? So that's logically you need to remember the things also. India is negative in this, net negative. Okay, I hope you are understanding. Net negative means, just suppose this is our country. If, see, income can earn into our country in the form of dollars, it can go out in the form of dollars. If it is coming, you need to add. If the money is coming to our country, you need to add to the country's income. And how you can add the country's income? By exporting. अगर आप export करोगे, the other person will be giving me dollars. Why? For paying those exports. So that means you need to extend or boost your exports as much as possible to increase the dollars to your country. अगर आपको चाहिए that your country have more and more dollars, try to promote exports. Try to promote exports. Clear? So visible trade, if I talk about the trade in goods, we are negative. Negative means we are actually giving more dollar outside to our country. Talking about invisible trade, what do you think? Trade in services may, whether will be positive or negative? Positive. Very good. ठीक है, that means positive. ठीक है, this is negative. Just मैं आपको एक example पूछ रहा हूं. Any foreign tourist coming into our country and buying a ticket for watching just Red Fort, are we exporting service to that tourist? That's export. That's what called exports. Export. भैया यही तो है, जो transaction जो होता है, this transaction is happening between a resident and a non-resident. That foreign person is a non-resident. If he's a non-resident and coming to India to watch the fort, that's called the export of tourism service. इसको तो tourism service export बोलते हैं. If it is using the telecommunication, if it is using भैया Jio, Vodafone, that is called export of telecommunication service. Because the transaction is happening between our telecommunication company and that non-resident person. ठीक है, उसको बोलते हैं trade in service. Factor income side में what do you think? Whether we are positive or negative? So this will be difficult for you. We are mostly negative. But what can you think of remittances? Gifts, grant? Yes, we are positive here. We are the largest recipient country of remittances. We get the highest remittances. So overall, if you take into consideration these four, this is called current account balance. This is called current account balance. See, if you understand this part, ये फिर हमारा 10 minutes में हो जाएगा, श्रीलंकन इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस. इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप बस बेसिक समझ लो, अदरवाइज आप 10 आर्टिकल पढ़ोगे, हिंदू सब में आया हुआ है, इंडियन एक्सप्रेस, मिंट, यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. So combining of all these four is called the current account balance. Now this current account balance can be surplus or it can be deficit. Very good. इंडिया के केस में क्या है? We are a current account surplus country or we are having a current account deficit. Current account deficit. We are mostly a current account deficit since independence. Except certain years like 2000, 2001, 2002, we are mostly a current account deficit country. And that's why I said India is a net. If you see, India is a net. If I take into these into two, India is a net importer. India is a net importer. And अगर net importer तो negative है. This is negative and this big negative plus negative. So we will always be, not always be, but generally we are having a current account deficit. It's like, just understand, इस negative का क्या मतलब हुआ? Just understand now. Some of you are earning 20,000 rupees. ठीक है, what does that negative means? Just understand, some of you are earning 20,000 rupees from your salaries. You have given a rent of 14,000. How much you are left with? 6. 6,000 में से 4,000 or 5,000 you have given for food expenses. 3,000 you have to make it mandatory for, you can say like books. Plus 3,000 you are making for just roaming charges, कहीं आपको घूमना भी है. ठीक है, दोस्तों के साथ चाय पीते पीते पता भी नहीं चलता. It's like 2K, 3K has been gone in the month. So like how much you are making an expenditure? 25K. But your salary is 20K. So you will not be reducing the expenditure because that is necessary. इतना तो minimum required ही है जीने के लिए. You need that much amount to survive here. But your salary is 20,000. So what will you do? What will you do if you have income of 20,000 and expenditure is 25,000? There are 2-3 options. Or I would say there are 2 options. One option is, what you will do, either you will ask your friend you will ask your friend to give me the money like 10-15,000 on borrowing. That is one option. So that means अगर country की income में भी negative है, from where it will get the finance? From the capital account. Either borrowing, that is one. Second, somehow you will say, you will convince your friend or anyone, do not lend me. Why can't you do one thing? Make an investment of 30,000 on me, and if I become an IAS, I'll give you 60,000. It's an investment. So that means there are two ways of financing. या तो आप borrow कर लो, either you borrow, or what you are doing, you are presenting them as an opportunity for investment. हमारी country में भी यही है. We क्या मतलब like we also, our political leaders also, they go outside, meet the Apple PCOs and the Google CEOs, highlight them the opportunity being presented by India and ask them to come invest in our country. बड़ी मुश्किल से कन्विंस करते हैं 4-5 साल में, then one tweet come by Elon Musk says that India is having regulatory issues. Investors go away. So it takes a lot of effort, 4 to 5 years, convincing them to come into our country, bring your investment. क्योंकि किसी की जेब से पैसे निकालना इतना आसान थोड़ी नहीं होता है, और आप तो करोड़ ऑफ रुपीस की बात कर रहे हो. So you understand how you can finance. Your current account can be financed by your capital account. But suppose nobody is coming with your investment, nobody is giving you on loan, then what will happen? 20,000 का 25,000 कैसे करोगे? 25,000 and you have to make it. Otherwise what will happen? You need to go back to your place. So from where you can get that extra 5,000? नहीं, वो तो हो गया ना, नहीं मिला ना, ट्वीट डाल दिया एलन मस्क ने, सब कैसे कर दोगे बताओ? उसकी थोड़ी तो रेपुटेशन है कि नहीं है? बहुत है. दिस ऑप्शन हैज बीन गॉन. जैसे मैं आपको आगे बताऊंगा इकोनॉमी में, डोंट वरी, लेट्स नॉट डील कंप्लीटली टुडे इटसेल्फ, बट दिस ऑप्शन इज गॉन. नोबडी इज इन्वेस्टिंग ऑन यू, नोबडी इज गिविंग यू अ लोन. फ्रॉम वेयर यू कैन टेक, और फ्रॉम वेयर द कंट्री कैन फाइनेंस दिस नेगेटिव. No, that is one option. Very good, very good. इसको बोलते हैं क्राइसिस. ये क्राइसिस हुई कि अंडरस्टैंड, this is called a BOP crisis. Your country is having a negative income. You have to make this much of expenditure, but you are not having the resources either from this side, either from this side. लेकिन एक रिसोर्स और है, before I talk it about BOP crisis. That resource is country's गुल्लक. आप लोगों की भी एक सेफ्टी होती है, आप लोगों की एक गुल्लक होती है, वहां से फिर आप क्या करते हो? गुल्लक को तोड़ते हो. That गुल्लक in each country is called, very good, forex reserves. That's why it is said that every country should have as high forex reserve as possible. Otherwise आपको क्या लगता है, why our country RBI is going for more than $600 billion reserves? They are doing it because we have faced this crisis in 1991. 1991 में हमारी गुल्लक में सिर्फ 2 हफ्ते का 2 weeks of import. Just understand, just 2 weeks. आप सोचो आपके पास सिर्फ इस ORN में you are just having 2 weeks of money. If you don't arrange the money, you have to leave this place. In the same way, this country in 1991, India was just having 2 weeks of import, and we have to import fuel. कहां से आएगा? हम अपना खोद के तो नहीं निकाल देंगे एकदम से भैया. So India was having just 2 weeks. That is called the country gullak. Suppose if that is not having enough money, then in that case it is called a BOP crisis. So now let's talk about the BOP crisis. See, understand now. Any country to be called in a BOP crisis, any country to be called in a BOP crisis, if any country to be called in a BOP crisis, if they are having current account deficit negative. So basically, if that country is having current account deficit, this is a necessary condition, necessary. Okay, if they are having a current account deficit, that is one. Second, there is no resource left in the capital account. That means capital account cannot finance, it cannot finance current account deficit, which means your 5,000 cannot be financed by your investment or by loans or any other source. So overall, your capital account is not able to provide the money which is required for current account deficit. And third, even your gullak, that is called the forex reserves, that forex reserves is not sufficient enough, to meet the imports, is not sufficient enough to meet imports. At that time, you call that any countries to be a BOP crisis. I'll tell you now how the Sri Lanka reached here. This is the concept. If you get this, now you see. अब आप points बताओ जो आपको पता है. ठीक है? Have you guys noted this? चलो. Now you tell me the points. जो आप पढ़ते हो, जितना आपने जितनी मेहनत करके आर्टिकल्स पढ़े हैं. सॉरी, चलो उसका भी मैं रीजन बताऊंगा कैसे हुआ. एक पॉइंट है और बताओ, है वो 4th पॉइंट पे है मेरा. वो इन्फ्लेशन आया, यस. मोर, मैं लिखते चलता हूं पहले तुम्हारे भी पॉइंट्स, ऐसा नहीं है कि यू आर टेलिंग मी रॉन्ग. ठीक है. इफ आई टॉक अबाउट 1 2 3 4 5 6, ठीक है. 6 पॉइंट तो आराम से लिख ही लेंगे. बोलो फर्स्ट पॉइंट क्या बोले थे. सो आई विल टॉक अबाउट ban on imports and especially the items like fertilizers. ठीक है. And why we have ban on imports? Because we will push the economy, we want to push the economy, organic farming, 100% organic farming. ठीक है. तो हमने क्या किया, items imports ban किए. क्यों किया? I'll tell you that. But tell me your points more. Printing more currency is fine. Value is declining. That's fine. Very good. This is very important point. I'll put this second. Decline in tourism. Okay, and why I'm declining in tourism? I'll write 2 points. You have mentioned one. First point is Easter, bomb blast. Easter bomb blast 2019 plus COVID pandemic. Tell me more. Infrastructural development, I'll correct that point. I'll put it here. Huge debt that goes for, or huge debt taken for infrastructural development, and it could not give enough returns. Okay, and it could not give enough returns. Okay, could not give enough returns. Okay, I hope you can understand this. I'll elaborate the point, don't worry. First, सोचो. वो तो हम आएंगे कि यू ना व्हाट दे आर डूइंग टू डील विद दिस बीओपी क्राइसिस. एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है फर्स्ट. इसको और करेक्ट करो, ये पॉलिटिकल ज्यादा लग रहा है. जस्ट टॉक अबाउट मोर अबाउट ब्यूरोक्रेटिक इंस्टेबिलिटी. उन्होंने कुछ ऐसा स्टेप लिया दैट एक्चुअली वेंट ना बैकफायर्ड. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग दैट बैकफायर्ड. Has they slashed the rates or not, tax rates? 2019 में when this new president came into power, campaign में क्या बोला? We'll reduce the taxes. अरे टैक्स कम करने से कंट्री में तो पैसा ही नहीं है, टैक्स करके क्या करेंगे? आज इन्फ्लेशन 30% है. जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड, इन्फ्लेशन इज 30%. अगर आपकी इनकम में 10% की भी ग्रोथ होती है नेक्स्ट ईयर, यू आर हैविंग अ शॉर्ट ऑफ -20%. दैट मीन्स अगर आज मेरा 100 रुपए, अगर मेरे 100 रुपए की वैल्यू आज 100 रुपए है, नेक्स्ट ईयर में वो 70 रुपए की वैल्यू है उसकी. अंडरस्टैंड? तो इतना इन्फ्लेशन, और ये इन्फ्लेशन तो अभी बाउंड टू इंक्रीज. दिस इज लाइक इस कंट्री को कोई खरीद नहीं ले, चाइना खरीद नहीं ले. दिस सिचुएशन इज रियली वर्स. अगर आप लोग वीडियो देखते हो, ठीक है, वीडियोस देखते हो, एंड इफ यू सी द श्रीलंकन क्राइसिस, देयर आर प्रोटेस्ट, पीपल आर नॉट हैविंग पावर. फ्यूल स्टेशंस में देयर इज ह्यूज क्यूज कि भैया फ्यूल मिल जाए, थोड़ा फ्यूल मिल जाए. एंड व्हाई दे आर नॉट हैविंग, व्हाई दे आर हैविंग फूड एंड फ्यूल शॉर्टेज, आई विल कम टू दैट पॉइंट. ठीक है, बट आई एम राइटिंग दैट पॉइंट. द स्टेप्स लाइक or the government policies, let's combine these point so that you can easily remember. I'll put this ban on imports plus taxation cuts. Taxation cuts. These both points are very important. If I put this under a heading known as misguided government policies. Misguided government policies. Misguided government policies. I'll put these 2 points under this and I'll elaborate. ठीक है, आपको सब 4 points elaborate करके बताऊंगा, don't worry. एक important point है जो missing है. Sorry? Yes, decline in remittances. I'll write that point also. 5th point, उसका इंपॉर्टेंस 5th पॉइंट जितना ही है, डिक्लाइन इन रेमिटेंसेस. ठीक है, दैट इज करेक्ट. एनी अदर? लेट मी राइट वन मोर पॉइंट दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड देन वील स्टार्ट डिस्कसिंग सेक्टोरल और द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ श्रीलंकन इकोनॉमी. स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ श्रीलंकन इकोनॉमी. Now what is that structure what I'm talking about? आपको याद होगा, if you remember, see, अगर आपको ना किसी भी क्राइसिस समझ के लिए, you should know about India's crisis only. You see, India witnessed a crisis in 1965, also BOP crisis. And one important thing at that time was that we were not self-sufficient in food. If you know, अगर आपने basics पढ़े हैं, that India was not self-sufficient in food. We used to import food from which country? US, under the program known as PL 480. PL 480. ठीक है, read guys as much as possible. PL 480. That was the program under which India used to import the food grains from the US. And I'm pretty sure आपको पता होगा, US did not supported the India in the wars. US did not supported. Even stopped its food aid. Why? Because India did not supported the US on the Vietnam War. ठीक है, India did not supported the US on the Vietnam War. चलो, अब देखो ये जो स्ट्रक्चर है श्रीलंकन इकोनॉमी, you see, structure of Sri-Lankan economy is what they exports. What are the exports by Sri Lankan economy? Primary commodities, which are very good, more rubber, plantation crops mainly or not, spices, garments, and what they import? They import essential goods. Essential goods like they are not even self-sufficient in food. They need to import food, fuel, like that. So now let us try to understand the crisis. Okay, I hope you have written. Chalo, dekho. See, now you listen and keep on writing if you want. See this, there was a war, civil war that was going on in Sri Lanka that ended in 2009. Now when that ended in 2009, Sri Lanka sought for a loan from the IMF. In 2009, Sri Lanka took a loan from IMF. यार पैसा ही नहीं है तो कुछ तो लोन ले लिया, चलो कंट्री को चलाते हैं. So Sri Lanka took a loan in 2009 from IMF, more than $1 billion. Let me tell you the exact figure. 2.6 billion dollar. ठीक है, and any country whenever it takes a loan from IMF, it imposes certain conditionalities. I hope you are aware of that. Anytime you take a loan from the IMF, any country, it imposes certain conditionalities. It took a loan. 2009 after, it witnessed a good growth, 8 to 9%. But after 2013, the economic growth starts declining. Why? Because there is inherent flaw in their economic structure. That's why I've written this. There is an inherent flaw in the economic structure, and even you can trace its roots to the colonialism. आप हिस्ट्री में भी आराम से इसका पॉइंट लिख सकते हो, हिस्टोरिकल पर्सपेक्टिव. अगर आपको हेडिंग डालनी होती है ना हिस्टोरिकल, यू कैन इजिली राइट. Now why I am saying that there is an inherent structure in the Sri Lankan economy. You are exporting these commodities, but you are importing the very essential commodities. आप एक्सपोर्ट करते हो, so ऐसा हाई एक्सपोर्ट आइटम करो which gives you much return. What you are doing? You are exporting the primary commodities. अगर आपको याद होगा, see, British also tried to make India a colonial economy by making them export the primary commodities and making them import finished goods. That is a structure of a colonial. इसको colonial economy बोलते हैं. Now what you are seeing, you are exporting the primary commodities. So how much revenue you will earn? Commodities के price decline, your exports will come down. And on the other hand, you are importing the essential items. So 2013 onwards, when the global commodity prices keeps on declining, Sri Lankan economy exports also declined. Prices कम हो गए तो कम आना है. जब exports कम होंगे, their economy also started to decline. Clear? Their economy also started to decline. So there is an inherent flaw in this economy, which means that your current account side, if I talk about these two things, this will be mainly negative. आपका गुड्स है, आप कर रहे हो प्राइमरी कमोडिटीज एक्सपोर्ट, इंपोर्ट कर रहे हो एसेंशियल कमोडिटीज, सो दिस विल बी नेगेटिव. सर्विसेज में आपकी कोई स्ट्रेंथ है नहीं, सो दिस विल बी ऑल्सो नेगेटिव. आप कोशिश करते हो रेमिटेंसेस, गिफ्ट पे, यू एज्यूम कि ये आपको प्लस मिले, but overall your current account will be negative. So that means the structure of the Sri Lankan economy says कि भैया हमारा current account negative है. अरे हमारे इंडिया का भी negative, I can understand that, but at least Indian leaders position themselves as a very good investment opportunity कि आप हमारे यहाँ इन्वेस्ट करो. आप क्या करते हो, इंडिया के मजे लेने के लिए what you take a huge debt. If I tell you the current debt of China, आपको पैसा तो देना है ना, ये नेगेटिव है तो आपको चाहिए पैसा. What you take a money from here. अब यहां से लेते हो huge debt. Let me tell you, Sri Lankan की GDP, if it is X or suppose 100 rupees, their debt is 120 rupees. If their value of GDP is 100 rupees, उनकी जो debt है, that is 120 rupees. and it has increased in the last few years. Last 2 years में तो और बढ़ गया. I'll come to that. But before COVID pandemic also, see, I want to highlight you that before COVID pandemic, this country was about to go like वो doomed होने ही वाली थी. COVID pandemic तो just एक trigger point हो गया उनका. So understand, your structure of your economy clearly highlights that current account is negative. आपके पास country की net income negative है. Then what you are doing, you are not asking for investment, you are taking debt from the China. Currently also, there is around 3 billion debt still owed by Sri Lanka to China. $3 billion, if I remember correctly. Yes. ठीक है? So you are not positioning yourself as the investment destination. What you are doing? आप अपने आप को कर्जे में डाल रहे हो, जिसका मुझे पता नहीं whether I'll be able to repay back that or not. What they did? They invested in infrastructure. That's a good thing. That's a good strategy. Whenever you borrow, you invest in the infrastructure, which is going to give you return. But somehow their infrastructural development could not give them returns. Their infrastructural development, investment in infrastructure could not give them returns. If it could not give them returns, now there are two situations. One, their structure makes them negative income. जो उनका स्ट्रक्चर है इकोनॉमी का वो नेगेटिव इनकम शो कर रहा है, प्लस आपने डेट ले चुके हो जिसका आपको अता पता नहीं है कहां से चुकाओगे. यू आर नॉट अवेयर ऑफ दिस थिंग कि कहां से चुकाओगे. व्हाट यू डिड, आप 2016 में फिर जाते हो आईएमएफ के पास. सी यू आर नॉट हैविंग मनी, यहां पे नेगेटिव, ये भी नेगेटिव. फॉरेन एक्सचेंज हाउ मच, $10 billion. ये तो इंडिया का तो कंपैरिजन में इट्स लाइक अ पीनट्स. इंडिया इज हैविंग मोर देन $600 billion. सो आपका ये नेगेटिव. फॉरेन एक्सचेंज, ये जो है बीओपी, जो फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व है, दैट्स आल्सो डिक्लाइनिंग. योर फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स इज आल्सो लो. सो व्हाट ऑप्शन यू हैड? यू वेंट टू द आईएमएफ अगेन इन 2016. आप फिर आईएमएफ के पास गए 2016 में. आईएमएफ ने आपको कुछ गाइड नहीं किया, पैसा दिया. कितना दिया दूसरी बार में? $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion, दैट्स इट. ठीक है, कुछ कंडीशंस रखी, फिर से हमें उसको कोई ज्यादा मतलब नहीं है, कंडीशंस रखी. बट 2016 के बाद भी आप तो सुधरे नहीं. आपको तो इतना बड़ा कर्जा है, आपकी इकोनॉमी की फ्लॉड है. यू फोकस्ड ऑन द इलेक्शन. 2019 में आपने बड़े बड़े वादे किए, टैक्स घटाएंगे, घटा लो टैक्स. व्हेन इट रिड्यूस्ड द टैक्स, व्हेन इट रिड्यूस्ड द टैक्स फ्रॉम 15%, जैसे वैट, जो हमारे यहां पहले वैट सिस्टम चलता था, इट रिड्यूस्ड फ्रॉम 15% टू 8%. जो रेवेन्यू अगर 100 रुपए आता था, दैट हैज बीन रिड्यूस्ड बाय 33%, बाय 33%, मतलब 67 रुपीस आ रहा है. सो अगर गवर्नमेंट का रेवेन्यू 100 रुपीस का था, नाउ देयर रेवेन्यू हैज डिक्लाइंड बाय रिड्यूसिंग द टैक्स रेट. आप तो अपने सोच रहे हो कि कैंपेन में मैं तो बढ़िया अपना प्रॉमिस फुलफिल कर रहा हूं, बट यू आर नॉट सीइंग that you are, what you are doing, you are taking your country to, like, आप बस निपटा रहे हो अपनी कंट्री को. So what happened? Revenue declined significantly. अब गवर्नमेंट के पास जब रेवेन्यू नहीं होगा, मैं बाहर से कितना तेल मंगा लूंगा, कितना मंगा लूंगा भैया? I do not have revenue. प्लस अब आपने क्या सोचा और अच्छा, जब हम इंपोर्ट करते हैं, अंडरस्टैंड, जब हम इंपोर्ट करते हैं, आई टोल्ड यू, जब हम इंपोर्ट करेंगे वी नीड टू पे डॉलर्स, कंट्री नीड टू पे डॉलर्स व्हेनेवर वी इंपोर्ट. व्हाट यू थॉट, आपने सोचा मैं कुछ आइटम इंपोर्ट के बंद कर देता हूं. उसमें से एक आइटम था फर्टिलाइजर, एंड यू ट्राई टू हाईलाइट, ओ आई विल कम अप विद द 100% ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग. अरे भैया, ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग के लिए आपने फर्टिलाइजर बैन किया. दिस फर्टिलाइजर यू थॉट कि फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स को कम करेगा, बट यू हैव नॉट थॉट कि हाउ मच रिडक्शन इन द फूड प्रोडक्शन इट विल बी. फूड प्रोडक्शन में कितना रिडक्शन होगा? हैव यू थॉट ऑफ दैट? सोचा ही नहीं उस टाइम पे. जैसे, क्योंकि जो ट्रांजिशन पीरियड होता है, देखो जीएसटी हमारे इंप्लीमेंट हुआ, देयर वर इश्यूज इन द 1 to 2 years. एक ट्रांजिशन शिफ्ट एक बहुत बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट शिफ्ट होता है. They also focused on the 100% organic farming. 100% organic farming, ban on the import of fertilizer. ये सोच के कि अब हमारे फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स जो हैं बचे रहेंगे, वी विल बी एबल टू सेव इट. बट दिस पॉलिसी वॉज मिसगाइडेड, एज आई सेड, मिसगाइडेड. It reduced the yield of paddy, your paddy, wheat, tea by around 25 to 30%. Your food production has declined. तो अब आपके पास, now you see the situation. See, now you see the situation. ये before COVID pandemic ही चल रहा है. Now you see the situation, your country is having a negative income, which should have been financed by the capital account. बट योर कैपिटल अकाउंट में आपने बहुत बोरोइंग करके अपने आप को ऑलरेडी कर्जे में डाल दिया. इवन आफ्टर दैट यू बोरोड हेवीली फ्रॉम द आईएमएफ, यू डू नॉट हैव फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स. तो आपकी क्राइसिस तो खराब चल रही है. आपने उसको बचाने के लिए एक स्टेप तो लिया, दैट बैन ऑन इंपोर्ट्स. यू ट्राई टू टेक द स्टेप बैन ऑन इंपोर्ट्स, बट उससे फूड प्रोडक्शन डिक्लाइन. सो नाउ द कंट्री is faced with a situation when they are not having money, they were not having money to buy the food from the country. The government is not having revenue because of taxation cut. Government is not having revenue to buy the food or fuel from the other country. Neither the country is having the money. Na country के पास है, ना government के पास है. So what they will do? Help के लिए मांग रहे हैं. लेकिन उस help से पहले इनकी किस्मत इतनी खराब थी कि कोविड ने इनकी और ले ली. व्हाट दे हैव डन? टूरिज्म डिक्लाइन. देयर हैव बीन अ डिक्लाइन. श्रीलंका व्हिच यूज्ड टू अर्न गुड अमाउंट ऑफ रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम द टूरिज्म सर्विस, इट हैज बीन रिड्यूस्ड. एंड द टू रीजंस, वन इज कोविड पेंडेमिक प्लस द बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट. सो नाउ यू सी, यहां पे सर्विस आप एक्सपोर्ट करके थोड़ा बहुत सम अमाउंट ऑफ मनी यू वुड बी अर्निंग. But now it has also reduced. So decline in tourism has been a shock. At the same time, remittances has been another shock. Overall, you see this current account deficit that increased. This current account deficit increased. Capital account already stressed, already in debt. You are not having foreign exchange reserves. What does that indicate? Your country is facing a serious economic crisis, or you call it as a BOP crisis. Now, what options they have? Nothing. They are asking China to give me a loan. अब चाइना उनके साथ बोल रहा है, डील कर रहा होगा, भैया बेच दो मुझे अपना पूरा कंट्री. Or it could be India is supporting them. India is playing a proactive role. There is a possibility that this question can be asked in the mains also, in the IR part, not necessarily in the economy, in the IR part. Because now you see there is another meeting in the Monday itself, next Monday, or I would say coming Monday. Okay? So let me tell you now what they are doing to deal with the crisis. I hope you understood these points and able to link it with the concepts. Last perspective from this crisis is see what options they have. Sri Lankan economic crisis, what options they have? What are they doing to deal with such crisis? To deal with such crisis. Okay. First, if you are aware, India has already pledged how much amount? $1 billion already given. 2.5, it's $1 billion is about to sign, and for 400 million is different. So in different ways. Okay? So India has offered amount. Now understand this amount is given in the form of line of credit. I'll tell you this thing as a last option. India has offered the amount, okay, $1 confirmed, another $1 is being sought, and 400 $400 million in currency swap. So in that way, it is forming the overall. Next, China. If you see how much China is given. Now China is using these two options, loan plus line of credit. No. So I'll explain you what is the difference. That can be important from the prelims perspective. Ultimately, they have to give the money. They money dena chahiye. See, ultimately, you see, Sri Lanka is in the need of dollars. They need dollars. Kahin se mujhe dollars mil jaye. India, China, from the IMF also they will try, but IMF put certain conditionalities. India, China, they might not be putting that harsh conditionalities. Now, my point is, what is the difference between loan and the line of credit? That's the last thing which we'll be talking about. Anyone? इनडायरेक्टली मतलब हम अपना सामान एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं. और एक और इंपॉर्टेंट डिफरेंस है, मतलब लाइन ऑफ क्रेडिट इज एडवांटेजियस फॉर अस ऑल्सो. आई विल एक्सप्लेन हाउ. सी लेट अस सपोज देयर इज 100 rupees. ठीक है, this is 100 rupees. This 100 rupees is being given to you in the form of loan. Loan means it's a like hard commercial loan. You are given this loan for, assume 3-year period, whatever be the dealing, suppose 3-year period at 10% interest rate, 8%. So it's like a proper commercial loan. Whether you are using that 100 rupees or not, it does not matter to me. I have given to this guy 100 rupees. He needs to pay me back within 3 years with an interest rate of 8%. This is a proper commercial loan which China has offered also $1 billion along with line of credit too. Are you getting my point? This is one. Then in this loan, there is another category known as soft loan, जो generally Japan gives to India. Soft loan means, understand, soft loan means longer maturity period and a very, very nominal interest rate. Longer maturity period, you imagine like 25 years, 30 years. And a very, very nominal interest rate like 0.01, 0.1%. But soft loan also comes under the category of loan. Loan means you need to repay it back. Understand, loan means you need to repay it back. Clear? That is soft loan. Then you have commercial loan. Then there is another category called as line of credit. Line of credit. What does this line of credit means? Like suppose India offered 100 rupees to Sri Lanka. Now Sri Lanka, if it has received 100 rupees from India, it's not necessary for Sri Lanka to pay the interest rate on this 100 rupees. Line of credit means that the other country needs to pay the interest only on the amount consumed. Understand? Only on the amount consumed. सिंपल सा क्रेडिट कार्ड का कंसेप्ट समझते हो? क्रेडिट कार्ड क्या है? 1.5 लाख की लिमिट है. 1.5 लाख की लिमिट है. इफ यू यूज इट, आपके पास लिमिट है 1.5 लाख की. इफ यू वांट टू यूज इट, 50,000 यूज किया, 30 डेज का फ्री पीरियड दिया मैंने आपको, 51 डेज का फ्री पीरियड. इफ यू डू नॉट पे मी टिल even after 51 days, you will be incurring interest rate. That's a simple concept. यही लाइन ऑफ क्रेडिट है. आपको 50,000 में इंटरेस्ट रेट चार्ज होगा, not on the complete 1.5 lakh. Clear? So that means line of credit, don't you think it's a better humanitarian measure as compared to loan? Yes. So that's why India, let me tell you, India very rarely gives this commercial loan. This is the Western concept. India gives line of credit. And now what is the advantage India will be having apart from this? Let me tell you another thing. Suppose Sri Lanka consumed this 50 rupees. This Sri Lanka consumed how? Sri Lanka will be importing the items from India, or Sri Lanka will ask the India to build a project. So ultimately this 50 rupees also comes to India, and at the same time the interest on the amount consumed will also come to India. So ये जो line of credit, when we give the line of credit, understand, when we give a line of credit to other country diplomatically, it is a much better measure to build relations as compared to giving a commercial loan. That is one. But under the line of credit, the things are the items in that country. Suppose the money which they are using for either building the projects, for buying the things, they have to be from our country. Which means, don't you think it is going to boost our exports? हमारे exports बढ़ेंगे. Clear? And who manages this line of credit for that? Which institution? Anyone? Which institution? Very good. Okay, we'll talk about Exim Bank in some other class, but Exim Bank is responsible for looking after the money of line of credit. Okay. Tell me, any doubt? Chalo then, see you guys. Take care.